Diwali, the festival of lights, has just gotten over. And New Delhi, much like other parts of India, is choking on a cocktail of toxic fumes and particulate matter. This is nothing new. The same story plays out this time of the year, every year.
In a way, we are facing airpocalypse because the pollution issue, and especially air pollution problem, has reached a critical stage in the country.
But as the city battles to breathe, we are looking forward to giving our lungs some respite. We're headed to an office that supposedly has the capital's healthiest working environment. Situated in the bustling commercial hub of Nehru Place, this building manufactures its own air. Yes, you heard that right. Hello.
Hi, welcome to the Bharat Business Center.
So what is the magic ingredient? Plants of all types, shapes and sizes. This office has over 7,000 indoor plants under one roof. Not only does it have nearly perfect indoor air quality, it is also one of the lowest consumers of electricity with a 5-star energy rating. We're meeting Kamal Mittal, the man who set up these solutions at the center, bit by bit, plant by plant, after years of struggling with Delhi's toxic air.
It's easy to grow fresh air. We have learned with 3 plants that you can grow all the fresh air you need. The 3 plants are areca palm, mother-in-law's tongue, and money plant. Sansevieria is a plant which converts CO2 into oxygen at night and also removes various VOCs, volatile chemicals. Areca palm is a good plant to convert CO2 into oxygen during the day, and money plant removes volatile chemicals, including all the various formaldehydes, benzene, and trichloroethylenes. So with these 3 plants, you can grow all the fresh air you need.
The Powerpoor Business Center also has its own lab where samples can be studied and tests performed to make sure that the air remains pollution-free. The air comes into the building through the top floor. It runs through these plants before flowing into the floors below.
After cleaning, the air comes down over the plants here and is sucked up from the ducts here and sent through ducts right down to the ground floor or on every floor. It's pushed into those areas from here. These plants are used for the final filtration. So when we wipe them once a week, there is still something coming out. That means whatever little bit is left, suppose the PM2s were say 6 or 7, then these plants are removing the last 1 or 2 to bring it further down. The total number of plants are over 7,000 right now.
How many of those plants are installed in this space to deal with this part of the whole process?
I think must be about 75% of them, 70% of them would be here.
And what do you call this room?
We call them the greenhouse.
Adorning the walls of the ground floor are numerous awards PBC has won from around the world, including an impressive Platinum Award for making it to the list of the top 3 green buildings in the world. Apart from plants, the office is dotted with air quality monitors. As we can see, the measurement is in single digits, an impressive feat when it's more than 300 units outside. We wish filling our homes and offices with so many green plants was a feasible option for everyone.
As per the NASA study, it requires nearly 6 to 7 plants per person, which are average grown inside the house potted plants, which can really have an impact in the indoor air quality. Unfortunately, with the urban settings that we live in and the kind of flats and the areas that we have, having 6 plants per person, depending on the size of family that you have, it becomes sometimes really, really challenging.
According to the WHO's Global Ambient Air Quality Database, a shocking 9 in 10 people worldwide breathe highly polluted air. And 93% of all children in the world breathe air with pollution levels that exceed guidelines. This figure is higher in low and middle income countries like India, where it is estimated that 98% of children under 5 years of age are exposed to toxic air. Tragically, about 1 lakh children of the same age group die because of air pollution-related complications every single year. Why is this toxic air so damaging for our body? Let's hear from a medical professional.
Air pollution means that the air is toxic. It contains certain kind of pollutants. Pollutants could be like in form of a particulate matter, which is known as PM, or it contains some toxic gases or other chemicals. When the pollutant enters into your airways, so first of all in the upper airways when it reaches, suppose inside your nasal cavities and your sinuses, it causes nasal stuffiness. So there is a lot of mucus secretions, your sinuses gets filled with mucus and the patient complains of stuffiness all over. And even the pollutants irritate your eyes, it causes blurring of vision, it causes irritation, watering of your eyes. Prolonged exposure of these pollutants can cause lung cancer. The person becomes more prone for heart attacks, causes development of asthma, COPD. And the most vulnerable population, I will say, will be the children and the elderly population.
While the problem of air pollution is certainly not restricted to India alone, the situation is particularly grim here. 22 of the world's 30 worst cities for air pollution are in India, and Delhi is the world's most polluted capital. And we are once again heading into the worst time of the year for air pollution, winter, a season where the city's notoriously poor quality becomes even more toxic.
You can look at 4 major sources of air pollution in the country. You have thermal power plant. In fact, we consume about 900 million tons of coal. So coal consumption and pollution from thermal power plant and industries will be a major source of air pollution. You have vehicular pollution, which is the second major source of air pollution. Then you have biomass burning, biomass and waste burning that you can club together. And we do burn a lot of stubble during the winter season. Just post the harvest season, and we also burn solid waste. So that would be the third major source of emission. And the fourth would be what I call it as a natural source, which is dust. And large part of India is arid, semi-arid, or is desertification is happening in various parts of the country. So the fourth major source would be the natural dust that contributes to air pollution.
The urban population of India has seen a rise from 17.1% in 1950 to a whopping 29.2% in 2015. A report published by UN speculates that India's urban population will overtake the rural population by the end of 2050. The swelling population has also resulted in a decrease in green spaces in cities and an increase in road traffic and vehicular emissions.
A lot of cities are going through urbanization, which is causing a lot of constructions to go on, so therefore there is a lot of suspended dust. There's a huge amount of transport emissions that is coming due to the trucks and the heavy vehicles that are plying there.
The lethal health effects of vehicular fumes are well known. Exhaust from on-road diesel vehicles is responsible for nearly half of the 181,000 premature deaths worldwide. And among the 100 major urban centers assessed for transport sector-related deaths globally, New Delhi ranks 6th.
As far as vehicular pollution is concerned, I think that is a much more complicated issue because there's no one solution that we need for the transport sector. One, we need to reduce number of individual vehicles. You know, our vehicle ownership is about 10 or 15 per thousand population, whereas in the US it is about 800 per thousand population. So our vehicle ownership is still very low. If you add two-wheelers, then the vehicle ownership will go to about 100, 150. The point is we still have low individual vehicle ownership. But still, our roads are full and congestion is very high. We have to make sure that vehicle ownership does not increase. Individual vehicle ownership is controlled. For that, we will have to get the best public transport system, not only in our metro cities like Delhi, but also across the country.
It is no surprise that governments across the world are pushing electric vehicles. The Indian government too has set ambitious targets to accelerate the adoption of electric vehicles. By 2023, it wants all three-wheelers to run on batteries. By 2025, the rule will be applicable to most two-wheelers. Incentives are also being offered to make car makers develop new EV models and manufacturing components such as lithium-ion batteries and electric motors. However, there are many roadblocks.
So the electric vehicles will definitely reduce the air pollution in a city. Now, but if you look at the automobile pie or a vehicle pie in a city, the trucks or the heavy-duty trucks which contribute about 5% of the entire vehicle pie contributes more than 60% of the transport emissions. If you go by this thumb rule, then obviously it makes sense to convert the buses or the trucks first to heavy-duty vehicles first to electric vehicles, because then the impact on air pollution, which is the end objective of the entire exercise, will be achieved faster.
And if you think you can escape air pollution by locking yourself inside your room, you're mistaken. Indoor air isn't that much cleaner.
Ultimately, pollution outside will influence air quality inside, and the kind of air fuel you use to cook food inside will contribute to air pollution outside. So there is a very clear linkage between indoor and outdoor air pollution. Indoor air pollution kills more because it has direct exposure and it affects women the most because they are using solid fuel, dirty fuel, and the fumes are getting in your lungs directly. So indoor air pollution in terms of health impact is far more dangerous.
When we talk about indoor air pollution, it starts from basic activities like making your bed, cooking, worshipping the god, putting an agarbatti or a diya. And the worst is when we have the monsoon season or seasons when we put the anti-mosquito repellents. All these put together, at times it has been found by various studies that the air pollution level within the indoors can be as bad as 6 to 8% from the outdoor.
To make the situation more bearable, those who can afford it are spending millions on air purifiers. But do these devices really work?
The sale of air purifier has increased in past 3 years, I think so. And I don't think so there is any harm in using air purifiers. So definitely the air purifiers, especially with the HEPA filters, it's actually good, especially for the children who are asthmatics or even all the patients who are asthmatics or have some kind of allergies. So it's very useful for them.
So, are there any other measures to improve the air we breathe inside our homes?
It is very important to have a very good ventilation system within the house. So where you are constantly adding fresh air to the house, number one. Number two is that I think in a lot of us, we have to understand that adding any kind of chemicals into the environment, within the indoor environment is definitely going to hamper our health at the end of the day. So whether it is a question of deodorants, whether it's a question of air fresheners, or whether it is the mosquito repellents that we add, putting on an air conditioner and having these kind of chemicals adding to the air when we apply them can make it very, very detrimental.
Nobody can stay cooped indoors 24/7. Confining ourselves and our children to a small indoor space for days on end is simply not practical. So what precautions can you take? Enter the face mask, an accessory ripe for the market in these polluted times. The continuous fall in the air quality index has led to a drastic surge in the sale of face masks across the country. And depending on the make, these do provide some temporary relief.
I think they do. I'm not going to be a skeptical person here and say that do nothing and just inhale all the pollutants that is there. I think people have right to save their health. Similarly, masks are important. I mean to say, if you are moving out in the morning and if you are in a habit of taking a walk in the morning and air quality is really bad, I would recommend to have a mask, because it will reduce some amount of pollutants at least.
Delhi-based Pratik Sharma grew up watching his mother battle asthma. So in 2015, when he was studying civil engineering at IIT Delhi, he thought of doing something that could help her.
The idea of nasal filters came into my mind because my mother was initially suffering from asthma, and she is actually a severe asthmatic, and it was always there in my mind to produce something to relieve her problem. After many iterations, starting from a face mask, then moving on to other products which are there in international market, like a nose bud which goes inside your nostrils, this idea of nasal filters emerged.
Team NanoClean has successfully developed 3 products now. The first one is Nasal Filter.
So Nasal Filters is made up of using nanotechnology, where we are creating nanofibers. These are the patch which you can stick directly onto your nostrils, just like I'm wearing it right now, and it comes at a cost of just ₹10.
At just 10 rupees a piece, this anti-pollution filter is affordable. It is meant for one-time use and can last a day. Another device made by the company is a pollution net that prevents any particulate matter from entering indoors.
If you see this product, so there is one blackish layer which we have incorporated here just to give the entire structure the desired strength which is required. While on the other hand, which is slightly a whitish layer, this layer is for the water resistancy purpose and also to prevent UV rays. While in between both these layers, we have sandwiched our nanofiber layer, which is now preventing PM 2.5 and pollutants as well to enter into your homes.
And the third one was launched in June this year. AC filters that promise to improve air quality within 10 minutes.
When your AC is recirculating the air, it is also cleaning the air with our filter materials. Starting from 200 PM 2.5 and the pollution level, it can actually bring down the pollution level to 60 in just 10 to 15 minutes.
Apart from selling their made-in-India products online, the young company is exporting them to 30 countries. Despite all the technological aids, the human cost of India's air pollution crisis is massive, especially in some of its poorest and least developed states. The use of the chulha, a traditional stove that is fired by wood, dung, or charcoal, raises major concerns, both for the environment and for the household's health.
In the cities, when we talk about air pollution contributions, there is a contribution that comes from the biomass burning. Now, when it comes to biomass burning, the 90% or the most prominent contribution of the biomass burning is basically by the urban slums, where they use biomass for cooking. Also in the rural sector, if you see, most of the houses are using biomass or coal for cooking. But if we can have an effective economic measure to penetrate the Couchwala Yojana and to ensure their constant refilling, then this is going to be very good at reducing air pollution, indoor air pollution at least, from these houses.
The Modi government launched the Couchwala Yojana on May 1st, 2016. With a target of 50 million women in families below the poverty line. The scheme's ambit was later extended to 80 million, covering all poor families. This has the potential to have a significant impact.
If we can have an effective economic measure to penetrate the Couchwala Yojana and to ensure their constant refilling, then this is going to be very good at reducing air pollution, indoor air pollution at least, from these houses.
Innovators have been trying to design smokeless stoves for decades now. Australian Russell Collins first came to India as a traveller in 1992 and fell in love with the Himalayas. He traveled widely in the region and soon started bringing back other tourists with his boutique travel company, Yaktrack. He also started taking students to innovator Sonam Wangchuk's award-winning school in Ladakh. The celebrated engineer turned education reformer introduced him to a rocket stove that he had built for his students and encouraged him to use the open-source technology to meet the needs of Himalayan homes. This was the beginning of the Himalayan Rocket Stove project.
The technology is open source. It's been around for a long time. It's called rocket stove technology. And we've just been innovating on two different ways of using that. One way where for cooking specifically, where we're just using clay. And the idea is that we can teach people how to make their own smokeless cook stoves just using the materials that they can find in their own village, their own backyard, in the fields. So we have clay, we have a bit of grass, or bulsa it's called, and some kind of biomatter, like sawdust or puffed grains. Because what happens is we mix it in the clay, we fire it up, get it really hot, and those little things burn out. And what you're left with is clay that insulates, because it's got little pockets of air in the clay. And pockets of air is what makes insulation. And by insulating, it traps the heat. The heat increases to the point where the smoke burns. Secondly, because it's an energy source, we're getting additional heat. So generally speaking, we can say we can halve the wood input or dung or whatever the biomass is. We can halve it for the same amount of heat that they would normally get using a traditional chula.
Taking cognizance of the challenge, the Indian government launched the National Clean Air Program in January this year. The aim is to reduce particulate matter pollution by 20 to 30% in at least 102 cities by 2024.
I'm very excited about National Clean Air Action Plan. In fact, last year I called it as one of the major initiatives of the Modi government. We have been talking about National Clean Air Action Plan for quite some time, but this government has taken the initiative to say that we need a nationwide action plan on clean air, which is an important recognition because so far air pollution was only about Delhi. But the fact is that air pollution is no more about Delhi. It is in fact no more about northern India. It is about the entire country.
The central government is also considering a pioneering initiative that could change pollution levels in major Indian cities like Delhi. The plan is to build a green wall, a 1,400-kilometer long and 5-kilometer wide stretch of trees that will form a green belt which runs from Gujarat to the Delhi-Haryana border.
If they are able to put a thick forest of particular trees, depending on the kind of pollutants that are traveling, which they want to trap there, it will be fantastic. My only concern will be the environmental initiatives taken by the government takes a back seat when it comes to some developmental dialogue. I'm just hoping that something like this doesn't derail this entire extremely ambitious and good initiative, which is going to be of huge benefit to the country.
Fighting air pollution is a global challenge, and all kinds of experimental technologies like anti-smog towers and cloud seeding are being used, but they remain stopgap measures.
Smog towers have been tried in our country, at least in Delhi, for a very long time. We have been seeing it being installed at various places time and again. Unfortunately, if we put an air conditioner in Connaught Place and expect the air conditioner to cool the entire Connaught Place, that is not possible. Similarly, putting an air purifier or a smog tower and expecting it to pull down all the smog from the air is also not possible. You see, the entire air column above us, it goes up to 16 to 20 kilometers above us. How much of smoke or how much of smog can it actually suck in and purify? So I am not a believer of this. I think it is possible to scrub the air, but I think this kind of the mammoth size that we are talking about, this is not possible. This is not going to be effective.
See, many of them are experimental technologies. I mean to say smog tar. I'm not sure how effective they are going to be. Cloud seeding has been tried in different parts of the world, and they have been effective in reducing pollution for that short period of time. Cloud seeding technology should be used in an extremely emergency situation when nothing else is working. People are lining up in the hospitals. Those are the situations where technologies like cloud seeding should be used. Cloud seeding should not be used as a regular technology because it has implications on other aspects of environment, water pollution, for example. And if someone starts using cloud seeding as a regular technology, then you don't work on other things. For example, on public transport or reducing pollution from industries, those are much more important things to do.
Clearly, the need of the hour is to take tough calls. All of us have the right to breathe clean air. And all of us have a role to play in tackling India's airpocalypse.